Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from simpleprogrammer.com. So you might have figured it out by now. My secret's probably out of the bag because I'm wearing the same shirt and I sound the same today. I am recording like several of these series together. I think this is part 4 of my Pluralsight story from rags to riches bitches or whatever I'm calling it. I don't know what we're calling it. Like how Pluralsight changed my career, part 4. Hey, I just want to give a quick thanks to one of our sponsors at Simple Programmer, which is Dev Mountain Bootcamp. You should go check them out. The link is in the description. They are a coding bootcamp and they can teach you web development, iOS development, UX design, a lot of good stuff. I get a lot of feedback from a lot of you out there that email me and have told me about Dev Mountain, so I decided to check them out myself. And I like what I found. I like their programs. They offer some 12-week intensive programs. They also offer some after-hours programs, which I know that some of you will like. So go check them out. You can see the link in the description below, Dev Mountain Bootcamp, and a big thank you to them for sponsoring Simple Programmer. When we last left off, I was talking about, well, let me start you at number 1. You just follow the trail from there if you want to know my Pluralsight story, how I made a bunch of money on Pluralsight, what was going on, what I was thinking about that. This is just one thread in my life of many threads. But when we last left off in part 3, I believe what I was talking about was that I quit my job. Yes, okay. So I had basically was making a pretty good amount of money doing the Pluralsight stuff, right? I had some money coming in from Simple Programmer. I remember at that time, just to give you reference, when I quit my job and decided to do Pluralsight full time, there's a lot of decision involved in this, right? It seems pretty basic, pretty obvious that if you're making like $50,000 every 3 months on a royalty check, you should probably quit your job, right? I have advised people on this before, but at that time I was paranoid with not having the security of a job, and quitting a really good job for no damn good reason, right? I mean, when you're making like, pretty high 6-figure income and you're making a lot of and you're getting a lot of good benefits, and you're working from home and it's a great job, those kind of things come into play. So what was I going to say here? So yes. So just to give you a reference on Simple Programmer, at that point, I think I was making $1,000 a month on Simple Programmer on some advertising, maybe. I don't think I had a product at that point, or maybe I was just getting ready to launch my first product there. Actually, I did not have a product at that point, and so I was making like I was hoping if I can make $1,000 a month, that will almost cover my mortgage, and so like I'll be okay, right? Even with the Pluralsight, and I had some real estate income coming in at that point too. So I was like calculating, all right, I'm making like $3,000 or $4,000 a month from real estate. I've got $1,000 a month on Simple Programmer, and then whatever happens with Pluralsight. So what I did was actually planned out a bunch of courses. So what I did, I came up with this Trello board and I brainstormed all these courses. I had this big meeting with Fritz and Aaron, and I said basically, look, because they wanted to up their course content. This was another perfect opportunity. They wanted to double the size of their course catalog in a year. Okay, and I had at that point maybe I had 5% of their course catalog. So I was like, I can help you do this. I really can help you, right? Do this because I've created, at one point I definitely had more courses than anyone else at this point. I had created more courses. I think I'd created in the last year like 10 or 12 courses. I was averaging like close to a course a month, and I said, okay, I could double that rate. I could do more. I could do 30 courses next year. So I had this meeting with them, and I said, okay, I'm thinking about quitting my job. I have concerns about health insurance and all this stuff. And I basically said, like, what can you do? They said that, well, we'll give you an incentive. We'll pay you more. And so they basically said, okay, well, and I think they were offering this to most authors at the point, but essentially they were already paying me a commission to build the course plus a royalty. And they said they would double the commission or raise the commission rate. So I think I was getting paid somewhere around $8,000 per course I created. Okay, this was the deal. And something around at that point is like a 20% royalty on the course, right? I had the option of getting a 25%. That would have been smart now, hindsight, but I was taking the cash instead. Not my most brilliant decision, right? I think my royalties would be 20% higher, which is a lot of money had I had from the very beginning done that, but maybe I wouldn't have created as many courses as quickly. Regardless, what's done is done. But I had this meeting with them, I remember, and I had this big Trello board, and I was like, okay, look, I've got 30, I think I had 40 or 50 possible courses on the Trello board at that time, and I was like, look, if you guys can commit to this, if you can promise me that you're gonna let me do these courses, that you're gonna commission 30 of these courses, I will quit my job. If you pay me that extra rate on the commission, I will make sure I will get 30 courses done for you this year. And they didn't believe me. They were like, bullshit. I mean, they didn't say bullshit, but they were basically thinking, no way John's going to do this. No one can do this. How are you going to get 30 courses done? Do you even have those many topics? And I showed them all the topics. And they're like, do you know this stuff? I'm like, no, but I figured out how to learn stuff quickly. Again, I'll plug my 10 steps to learn anything quickly course. That's what I was using. I figured that out. I made the course afterwards, but I figured out how to learn even a programming language within like a week or two and be able to teach it and be able to teach it competently and be able to build an application and function. And I know that some of you are like, bullshit. And hey, I'm not claiming that I was learning how to be an expert, right? That I could match someone with a huge amount of experience in a lot of these technologies, but I could do pretty damn well. And because I had so much background, I could teach it better than most people. And and another piece on this, just a side note this, because some of you are still skeptical, a lot of these technologies just came out. I mean, when Go language came out, right? And I did a course on that. Who had experience with that, right? Everyone who was creating any kind of course or tutorial on it, aside from people that worked inside of Google and worked on the language, it was brand new to them. So they had to figure this shit out as well, right? So same thing when Dart came out, right? A bunch of different programming languages that I learned, I did courses on them right when they came out, right? When Swift came out, I didn't do that one, but a lot of people did. And so they had to learn this shit quickly and do it. So it's definitely possible. And like I said, check out the ratings on my, go to Pluralsight, check out my ratings and see for yourself. It's not bullshit when there's 2,000 ratings that are like, 4.5 or 5 stars. So there you go. So with that said, what I ended up doing, they ended up agreeing to it, basically skeptically, and said, well, we'll definitely improve the courses if you can do them, but there's no way you're going to get 30 courses done in a year. And I said, well, we'll see. I probably still have that Trello board where I had the courses. So I created a bunch of different courses, and here's some of the topics. Here's some of the stuff I did that year. I'm trying to find the first ones I did after I quit. Well, I started it that year, so I actually started before I started my job. In fact, this is how nice I was. Oh man, because I advised you guys the other way. My boss was like, hey, could you, I gave like 2 weeks notice or maybe like 4 weeks notice. And he's like, could you stay 6 weeks instead? So I stayed extra time. I don't know why, to help them. And I busted my ass for the last 6 weeks. I just felt like I needed to do a good job. I mean, I don't know why I did that. I should have just said, no, 2 weeks, that's it. I got stuff I got to do. But it was sad. I didn't want to leave that job. I had a good team, but I had to. It was my decision. I had to go on for my future. This made sense, right? It wasn't just a monetary thing. This was the best thing for my career. Although the money had a lot to do with it. All right, so what did I do here? Okay, so we're looking at 2013. I did some courses on, so Go programming language. I remember being one of the first ones because I remember working on this over Christmas break, and this was where I figured out how to learn programming languages quickly, right? Some other ones I did like a struts course that was kind of weird right before then, and Service Stack was awesome. I did enjoy doing that. I did that before I quit my job. But first one, I get sidetracked here. I'm looking at the courses. I'm excited. I remember all of these courses. This is why, because these were like, each one of these courses was. It may have only taken me weeks of my life, but it was weeks of my life at like 15, 16-hour days, okay? So my heart was in a lot of these courses, okay? All of these courses, really. I bled, okay? So the Go course, that was my first time learning a programming language as quickly as possible. It took me like 2 or 3 weeks, actually, because I didn't know how to do it. I didn't have the process down, but I still did it pretty damn fast and got the course out. And to this day, people still say this is one of the best Go courses that they've ever watched. So I'm not just trying to toot my own horn. It's cool. I get a lot of compliments on it. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. That's awesome. That was February 2013. Still valuable. That's cool. And it was the first one that I just learned, Go. People didn't know I had only learned Go like in 2 weeks or three weeks ago, but no one knew Go at that time. So there you go. Then I did like a course on getting started with Jenkins continuous integration, right? So I was brainstorming some of these things. Some of these things I had experience with. Jenkins I did. So I tried to get a mix of stuff I had some experience with and then new stuff. So I was always kind of learning something new while I was working on something else. So I had this, and I had a very, very complex process in place for creating courses. At this time, remember, I had done over 20 courses, and I had a system. Like, I knew how to create the slides, kind of a template, kind of a way that I would do everything. I actually hired an editor to help edit my courses, so I wasn't doing the editing myself, and to package stuff up. I had a real good system in place. I always talk about systems. Systems are important. So that's what I did. Okay, that's how I was able to pump these out. I started pumping out courses like 1 a week, right, at first, and then I slowed it down to 1.5 a week. I'm talking fast because I'm excited about this, and I don't want to go into part 5. Okay, we're ending this here, part 4. This is where it ends. All right. So I did like a Android beginner series. Now this was cool. This was fun. I did this whole series on beginning Android that would teach you Java and Android at the same time over 4 courses and teach you game development, like the basics of that. The basic idea was like, let's say you want to be an Android developer, and they didn't promote this, right? Still, people don't know about this. Still, this is still a really good course series if you want to check it out. It starts with Android beginner series, understanding Android, and then that just gives you the basics. But then the idea was that I think the next course was like learning to build apps with App Inventor. So you're learning Android by itself without having to write code, or learning the basics of coding, and then just enough Java. So the next one, you would learn Java programming with Android that you already understood a little bit, and just enough Java to get you through the points, right? So you start to learn that. And then the final one was like putting it together. And this was my favorite course of all time. Man, I went crazy with this course. I did voices, I did pictures, I did animations. I got a cameo from Fritz making a voice. Like, I had scripts, I had all kinds of it was like a game. Like, the whole course itself was a game that was telling the story, which was fun. It was pretty damn cool. I'm pretty happy with that one. All right, so that was a fun course, and so that was kind of the series that I built on that, and I understood the Android stuff right at that point. Then I did like Chrome developer tools, which was a pretty low-hanging fruit. I understood it, but I had to go in depth and really learn the Chrome developer tools. That was fun. It's still valuable to me today, having gone in depth. Then I was getting fascinated with the Connect, so I learned how to build Connect apps. I did a course on Connect. I did unit testing with Java. That was an obvious. See, some of these you can see they're like, oh, obvious, like John could do this one. He already knew this stuff. But a lot of it was stuff I had to just learn. But I tried to keep it a mix. I did this cool course that was underappreciated, making Java and C# work together using all the different kinds of interop that you could do. That I had to go super deep and technical, learned a lot from that. Did this course on Glimpse, which was cool. It was this ASP.NET tool, right, that lets you see inside your web pages. And then I did building web applications with Dart. So I had to learn Dart, and I learned Dart in like a week. Honestly, I learned it in like a week and started building an app with it. And that's a fairly short course, but I gave the introduction to that. Then I did like a cross-platform app, or I did Redis. I did ASP.NET Web Services. I did Hibernate. I did a Service Tag Xamarin iOS one that combined that, because those courses were getting popular on Pluralsight. An IOC one with MVC4. Creating a Chrome extension. This was fun. I enjoyed this course, and that it's so simple to create a Chrome extension. This is a rewarding thing to do, I think. Creating an automated testing framework with Selenium, one of my more popular courses. This was a tough course to create. I mean, it wasn't tough to create. It was just like, there's a lot in there. That's a really good course if you are interested in automation. Then I learned Meteor.js and did a course on that. I did an iOS 7 development course because it changed so much. Did a Leap Motion course, got that little Leap Motion device and learned that. And then I had some fun with game development. I did HTML5 apps I did HTML apps for Firefox OS. Whoops, made the wrong bet on that one. HTML5 game development with Quintus. That was a lot of fun. And the last course I did on December 2nd, 2013, so far, it was beginning Lua, which I learned Lua in a very short amount of time and got that course out the door. So that's all. I think I've talked about all my courses on Pluralsight. So just to wrap this up, what happened there? Because I don't think I want to do a port 5 here. what ended up happening then was, it was about a year, okay? And I got 30-something courses done in the year. A couple of courses actually got rejected. So I did these full-on courses and I didn't get paid for them, and I didn't get them published. And there was a lot of political stuff potentially going on at the time. There's a lot of turmoil. The company was growing, right? There's just things going on. So I think, and there's also, I think, a little bit of jealousy with some of the authors, and some of the authors that were doing the reviews were actual authors. So they had this sort of like review quality control, and it was a nightmare because people were sabotaging each other. There's a lot of backstabbing. I think they've cleaned it up now, but it was a nightmare. But I just accepted it. I just said, you know what, fuck it. What can I do? Like, I can fight this, or I can just move on and do my next course. And I did, and I ended up getting all those courses done. In fact, I finished, I think, before the end of the year. I think I finished at the end of November, and I took the last month off. And at that point, I made a decision, and the decision that I made, which I could do a whole video on, but I'll summarize it here. If you want me to do a video on it, let me know. Maybe I'll talk more about it. But essentially, I was making a lot of money from Pluralsight at that point, right? And it was pretty obvious that I should continue making courses and continue making money. But I hit the point where I could essentially retire. I didn't need to work anymore, and I had enough passive income. I was able to pay down some of my real estate. I had enough passive income from real estate, plus the Pluralsight, plus the other stuff I was doing, that I didn't really need to work. But I decided that what I wanted to do, like, Pluralsight was great, okay? And it gave me a great opportunity, and I busted my ass with Pluralsight. But what I decided was that that's their platform, right? I don't own Pluralsight. Like, I'm an author on there. Yeah, I was a famous author on there. Yeah, I was super successful on the platform, but it was still not mine, okay? Like, and I didn't have control over my fate. And when I got jerked around with some of these courses, I realized that. Like, it was very clear that even though I was the most popular author on the platform at one point, and the most successful author on the platform, I was an owner. I could still get jerked around. And so I said, I'm going to devote my time to what I do own, simple programmer. I want to build it. I want to build it up from scratch. You know, that's something that I care about. And yeah, I might make less money, but in the long run, I think I'll do better. And so that's what I did. And, you know, I haven't looked back. I haven't created a Pluralsight course since then. I love them. I highly recommend that you check them out. But for me, I had to do my own thing. That's why I did. And I couldn't bring you the message that I have today. Maybe I'd make more money, maybe. I think honestly that in the long run, I'll make more money doing this, and I'll be more successful doing this because it's mine, because I own it, right? But yeah, that's where I ended up. If you have any more questions, maybe I'll do like a Q&A. Maybe I should do like a live stream or something. I know you guys are going to go nuts now when I say that, but if you have any more questions, leave some questions below. You know, upvote the questions that you want me to answer the most, and maybe I'll do one more video just for a Q&A for the Pluralsight stuff. I know I covered a lot. I mean, I could have talked about this for hours and hours because there's so much stuff. I mean, just even creating one course, there's so much details and so much drama that went into that, and so much that was going on in this period of my life, and so many decisions that I was making based around Pluralsight and the money and all this stuff, right, that was coming in. But hopefully that gives you a little bit of a glimpse into what happened and in my Pluralsight story, and yeah, and some of the decisions that I made. All right, if you like this video, click that subscribe button. Make sure you click the bell so you don't miss any more videos. And like I said, go back, check out the rest of the videos. If you want to check out my career playlist, go check that out as well. And I tell my whole career story. I'll probably do some more of these stories. Like, if you like the story format of me telling, to me it seems a little boring to me, but hey, if you want me to tell like my real estate story and my poker story and any of those kind of threads that I've mentioned, let me know, and maybe I'll do some of those stories in the future in like a 5-part series or something like that. All right, that's all I got for you today. Take care.